Hi, I'm Helen Jane Rose. I'm an author and an energy healer. I've been practicing energy healing for many years now. I've also been on my own healing journey and awakening. And through that, I came to inner child healing, which really helped me. And I was doing an exercise where I wrote to my inner child, and through that, I opened up, unbeknown to me, a channel to bring through guidance from spirit. And at first it was all about how I could heal myself, and I followed that guidance, and then it changed to much broader guidance that I realized it wasn't personal for me. Yes, I was learning from it, but it was to in some way share the messages that were coming through. I didn't kind of know how to at that time. Anyway, after years and years of downloading, I ended up a couple of years ago putting a book together. I didn't realise that's what I was doing, called The Coming Times, which is bringing a higher perspective to everything that's going on now, and with a lot of other information too, to help guide us through these times, but also to help us heal ourselves and get a greater connection and empower us to our true selves. And so I'm just giving a tiny bit of context as to what these World Truth Reports are about, that I'm now going to be bringing to you weekly, because they've come as a continuation of the coming times. And so I've been asked to, through automatic writing, which is what I call it now. So I write without knowing what I'm writing, a bit like how a channel speaks, I write it. And so I'm going to be doing that every week, writing just exactly what I'm supposed to write, through bringing guidance through from the Divine Council, and then writing it in a weekly report. And I will be joined by my lovely partner, Ged, who is an amazing energy healer. He's an acupuncturist. He's a cranial sacral therapist. And he's going to come and unpack the messages. So I'll just be reading it verbatim how I got given it. And then he's going to unpack it and bring his wisdom through as he talks about the messages. And it's going to be really about us bringing the feminine energies and the masculine energies, and then combining them together. I'll also be the World Affairs Truth Report will also be weekly written, and that will be there to share on my website, helenjanerose.com, and on thecomingtimes.org. I would like to read to you the first World Affairs Truth Report. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the first World Affairs Truth Report. We wish you a very happy new year. A year where happiness flows through you despite what might be happening around you. A year where you feel more aligned with your soul self, the true you, than at any other time before. This report is being brought to you weekly to bring a higher conscious perspective to what's going on for you and the world around you. Whilst it will seem like the world is in crisis, we wish to remind you that you agreed to be here at this time, to bring your light and understanding to a world steeped in fear and darkness. Fear and darkness will pervade the world until humanity self-realizes the light and love at the core of them. This isn't meant in an airy-fairy way, but in the most practical and even logical way. That if one is denying the light at the heart of them, then they're aligning with the darkness inside of them. And if they're denying themselves the love that dwells within them, then fear is what they recognise instead. It's no more complicated than this, which is why our World Affairs Truth Reports are acting as a reminder and activation as more and more are needed to see the world through a different lens. The perspective of the soul self is how you'll set yourselves free. As we deliver the spiritual news, we ask you to pause for a moment and come inside yourself. This report is being delivered for your soul self, the true you, that we are helping to lead you back to. Its purpose is to nourish you at a soul level and bypass the mind that we are asking to step aside as your soul steps forward. Normally, it's the other way around. The mind is pulled to the forefront by everything that externally stimulates you. This year, your soul asks you to turn inwards far more, to behave in a very different way to the self who has governed you for so long, based on what's expected of you, often at the expense of the true you. Step into the new year with the intent to honour you more and what's right for you. Let this be your New Year's intention. I intend to honour my soul self more. I intend to let my soul self through more. I intend to listen more to the inner wisdom of my soul and act when I feel called to. I don't have to understand how to. I just have to set my intention to. I intend to make inner peace my priority. Genuine intention activates your soul self to becoming a greater presence within you. It starts with your inner activation for it to be able to. On this day, intend for this to be so for you. Your soul self doesn't say how things should be. It recognises you without your wounds and helps to walk you through them so you can release them and become who you're supposed to be. This will be a big theme this year, as many at a deep level have answered the call to heal. You will see this being played out in a big way on the world stage, and we are here to help you understand what is happening from a higher perspective. The perspective of the soul self, the true self that's far greater and bigger than the human self that everyone identifies so strongly with. The world is a reflection of everyone's inner state of being. Let that be motivation enough to change how you perceive things this year. Don't be left behind by an old world trying to keep you locked into woe is me. Anything that has hurt you, you can heal from within you. It's just up to you. Start to make inner peace your priority this year and watch the world around you change. A peaceful inner state of being becomes reflected outside of you. It's a kind of magic, you know, a bit like having an internal inner magician that starts to create the external for you. A peaceful, happy, abundant life is absolutely possible for you. Yes, you absolutely can be the change you wish to see in the world. Our motivation for bringing you these weekly reports is for you to experience peace in and around you, to remembering your soul selves and all the blessings this will bring to you and the world. I'm Helen Jane Rose, bringing you these messages from the Divine Council. And now I would like to introduce Ged Ferguson.
Hi, my name is Ged Ferguson. Helen's partner in life, and also now in this wonderful offering. For those of you watching in YouTube, she's still in the screen, but for those on Instagram, it's just me for the moment. So I'd just like to say, offer congratulations to Helen and really honouring this body of work. It's been brewing for a number of years. I think 2016 was when it all began, and it began out of adversity, like most people on the spirit path. Some are aware of it, some of them not, but out of the ashes comes a phoenix, and the phoenix started as automatic writing. It evolved into the coming times, and during that process there's been constant nudges from her guide team to generate this World Affairs Truth Report. I've been fortunate this year to be the benefit of that on a personal level. It's extraordinary information, always helpful, always offering a wider perspective, which interestingly is the thing that interests me most in my work in the clinic, is looking through a different lens or a wider lens. If you stay focused on the narrow lens that causes difficulty, then that's where you remain in that moment. The minute you can widen that lens, then things start to move and change, generally without you having any involvement in it. So yeah, hopefully this can invite other people who are also sat on information that would be very, very helpful for the world at large at the moment, to find the courage and strength to have their wisdom heard through whatever form that is, whether that's written or spoken or visual, whether it's art. There's so many ways that you can share your wisdom, and so I invite you all to really explore that and have a go, and we all need to hear it. So with this offering, this is the first of what will be many weekly downloads from Helen and unpacked by me, and in the spirit of the lens that we look through life, I encourage you to find your own way to interpret it as well. Don't just take mine or even Helen's perspective on what's been offered, because it's multi-layered, multi-dimensional. There's lots of golden nuggets in all of this, and it could be personal, and for you. So you can take this information and use it for whatever you will, but be curious, delve into it deeper yourself, find out what it means for you, because there'll be something in there that's very personal. And with that, the takeaways, or what stuck out for me mostly in this first truth report, was that they were made a point of the fact that they were speaking to your soul self. And what does that mean? Who is that? What is that? Do I know that? And so the ego mind wants to know what it is. Why is it not talking to me? But essentially it is, because there's a moment in time where I perceive that the soul and the mind to be the same thing. It's only when we imprint beliefs, memories, dramas, all of those interpretations that the ego attaches to, that then moves away from the soul or covers the soul. So this truth report, the downloads that are coming through are directed at the soul self, the unfiltered soul self that's not affected by life. So it's interpreted in a clean way, in an undiluted way, in a way it's going to go straight to the core of you, your eternal self. And that might sound a bit weird to some people, but my belief, and it's not a religious thing at all, but and some of it is coming from personal experience as well, through regression work, that we have many, many, many lifetimes. And through each of those, there's a constant rhythm of us, a constant essence that has appeared in every life. come and gone, and within that has gleaned and retained all the information and all the experiences from those lives, and they're retained in probably what is our DNA, and other recorded aspects within us. And we've arrived at a time in the human experience where we're going through a monumental change, and I'm sure some of this will be unpacked in the downloads to come, but there's lots of information out there already on this. There's many amazing teachers out there talking about this sort of stuff. But essentially we're moving from a very sort of dualistic perspective, free will and choice, everything from Mother Teresa to Genghis Khan. We've got free will to choose within those parameters. We're moving away from that to a much more heart-centered perspective where we thrive on community values, we thrive on caring for each other, compassion, generosity, benevolence, all of those positive qualities of the human experience that we already know now, but they'll become what we are, the mainstay. And that seems like a long, long way away right now, but it's not. And the Divine Council refer to this in this message where they're talking about our responsibility as creators, co-creators of our reality. And for some that will be quite normal now, especially on the spirit path, where people looking at themselves and their own ways of being, their own responsibility for their own words, actions and deeds. And for some, they might find it really difficult, especially if you're involved in a war situation, in an economic situation, in a health situation. How dare someone say that you're responsible for any of those things? Unfortunately, it's true, but as a collective, rather than just thinking of it as an individual, and it's a collective relationship with war, it's a collective relationship with poverty, you have imbalance in wealth, and it's a collective relationship with health. And so if the collective causes the outside world to appear in those negative formats, then the collective can change that into peace and all those other qualities that I mentioned earlier. We just have to believe it, we have to know it. And so you've got to try. And so the Divine Council talk about going inside and connecting with that inner self, the soul self. And again, what does that mean? And from my perspective, meditation and breathing, fundamental, the simplest and most effective ways of going in. And you don't have to sit for hours in meditation or even learn how to meditate. You just have to be still. You can do it for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes every day. Everyone has got time to do that. You can do it on the train, on the bus. There are so many different ways, but just to acknowledge there's another aspect to you that is greater, wiser, more fantastic than you can ever imagine. And you just got to ask it questions. Be curious. Who am I? What am I doing here? Asking those open questions and asking for guidance. And be excited about how that information will come back to you, because it comes back in metaphoric form, or it comes back in some whispering that you might hear in the street, or some chance event, or it's not angels flying down from the sky and with a big banner on telling you where to go. It's very subtle, but far more fun and interesting if you follow the breadcrumbs. And they also suggest that the soul self doesn't do everything for you, because it can't, because we're being invited to recreate or create that soul self within us more and more each day, but you can only do that through choice. And so the soul self will create opportunities, choosing love over fear, or saying yes over no, or no over yes, when you would be pattern driven to say the things that you don't want to say or do. The soul self will provide you with opportunities, and some of them may appear difficult. If you're in an abusive relationship or you manage to get out of one and you really want to defeat that pattern, then the soul self will bring in another abusive partner or the possibility of it, and you have then the choice to say no. That's entirely up to you. It won't eliminate all abusive potentials from your entire life because you haven't yet said no, you haven't taken control. And so going back to connecting with the soul self, the inner self, it's about listening, going inside and just paying attention and being still and breathing and doing all those simple, free things, and just listen to yourself, and all will be well. Yeah, just to finish off, if you find this concept difficult, that we create our own reality, ask these questions and just feel for the answer. So, am I the creator of my own reality with lessons to learn? Take a moment to see how that feels. Or am I a victim of circumstance or someone else's behavior? And see how that feels. Now, I imagine, it's quite obvious. One feels a lot better than the other. So just play with that, work with it, and you'll start to get your answers. And yeah, I'm very excited about what's coming next for truth reports. We're looking forward to unpacking them every week. We've made a commitment now. Hope you can join us. Feel free to say some nice comments. We won't be looking at the ones that aren't very nice, but you can send them as well if you like. I have a strong feeling, and so does Helen, that this work will be generative. This first one is very much setting the foundation that they're talking to the soul self, that we've got to take responsibility for ourselves, and I imagine that the ones coming over the next weeks and months, maybe even years, will become more complex, with that more opportunities to create a much more loving and peaceful, benevolent environment for us. So stick with us, enjoy the process, and we will too.